Well, the integrating the babies did not go well. I got in there and pecked on the hens for a little bit, and the little babies got up on the roost and everything seemed fine, so I went back inside, but I guess I left them a little too long because Peck got beat up a little bit. Well, a lot. She got beat up a lot, so. And then they had their water turned over, so I had to come. You see little Peck's head as she turns around. So anyway, they'll be separated for quite a while longer. I've created this run where I can let the ladies out and I can hold the babies and maybe let them kind of free range that way in a smaller space. Because if they free range in the yard, they'll never see each other, so that's not very helpful. So we'll have to rethink it, but we'll not be able to integrate them until Peck heals. So I've been coming out every 30 minutes now just to check on Peck, even though they're not together anymore. I just want to make sure she's okay. And it's probably a good idea because they done knocked over their water. So it's terribly bright and it's supposed to be 86 today. So I'm thirsty. I thought, since I didn't really have chicken updates anymore, like I thought I was gonna have, because we're still in a holding pattern, I was gonna come out here. I'll probably do a garden tour later when it's not so bright. So I'm going to show you how to make basil tea. I'm going to start here at the end of the tomato bed, because if you remember, I've got the row of tomatoes and then the row of basil all the way down right behind it. And I'm going to go ahead and harvest the Genovese basil and the holy basil. I'm going to dry some of the Genovese just to go ahead and do that. Because I don't want it to go to seed and I want it to branch out. So I'll show you and then I'll cut. Okay, so on either basil plant, you've got where the main, where the main stem comes up through the middle, and then you have where it has a set of leaves and then a set of branches. So you want to cut in between the V here, just snip that off. Of course you can just like butcher it back and it'll grow back, but that's how you're supposed to prune them. Rude. Alright, we're back inside because it's already hot out there and it's only 11 o'clock. I dropped some. I got my basil, pineapple sage, which it was getting ready to bloom. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill up my sink. I'm going to wash everything. I'm just going to fill it up with cold water, add a little bit of vinegar and a little bit of salt in there just to give everything a good wash, get all the bugs out. This is really the only thing I use table salt for. Yeah. Don't mind my dirty dishes. get all the buggies off. I'm gonna go clear out my herb dryer thing. That way when the Genovese basil is dried or washed and kind of dried, we can put it in the, here I'll show you, this thing. I have a bunch of herbs left in here from last season that we didn't use, so I will well, I didn't put up, but we obviously didn't use either. So I will probably go ahead and get all of this off the stem and stuff and use these in the chicken coop, because I didn't have them in an airtight container and they've been out here for several months. They probably aren't going to be as good, but they'll still work to deter pests and stuff in the chicken coop. When I get this all cleared out, then I can put my basil in here to dry. Alright, my basil has been draining. Cleaned out my sink over here. I'm just going to rinse. Now for the holy basil, it's okay. It does not change the flavor when the plant flowers. But for Genovese basil, you want to keep it from flowering. It'll change the flavor. So I'm just going to rinse it off. And the Genovese I'm going to put over here in my spinner. And the holy basil, I'm going to go ahead and put it in my pot. And in my container here, I've got honey in the bottom of this. Just a little bit. I don't want to get too carried away, but it is easier to dissolve the honey in the bottom of your container when it's hot. I also have some water over there warming up. Alright, I washed all of my Genovese basil. So I'm going to spin that, put it on the rack to dry, because we want to get as much of the water off of these leaves as possible when we're drying herbs. Now my half-gallon container is a little more than halfway full. I'm going to make this very strong because I'm going to be diluting it with ice and cold water, so I'm going to make it strong. And then after it cools off, if it's still too strong, then I'm going to put it in a gallon container. Okay, so my water has come to a boil. I'm just going to pour this right over the top of my herbs. And remember, I have the pineapple sage in there too. Okay. And we're just going to leave this to steep for a while. I'm going to cover it. Okay, I have no idea where the lid to this one is, so I'm just going to put a plate over it and that'll be good enough. So we'll leave this for at least 20 minutes. If you get distracted and leave it longer, that's perfectly fine. It'll just make it a little stronger. For the rest of the holy basil, I'm going to put it through the spinner and put it on my drying rack as well. Alright, so first round of dried herbs is accounted for. Excuse the hair, I'm doing a hair mask, self-care when you can get it in. So the dried herbs can be dried on that rack like I have back there. If you don't have a rack like that or don't have the space to hang something or like that one that big, you can always bundle them up, tie a string around the stems and hang them upside down to dry. You can lay them flat on a paper towel or a piece of cardboard or something like that. You'll just have to flip them every day or so just to make sure they don't get moldy and gross and they're actually drying evenly. Or you can just use them fresh like I have here if you don't want to dry and save them for when that herb isn't in season. Okay, so it's been, I don't know, a while. Take my lid off of it, my plate, and then I'm just gonna kind of mix. Then, hang on, let me get a strainer. I didn't really think about the size of this strainer compared to the jar I got. This is pretty big, but here we go. Still hot. I just poured a little bit back in my container to melt this honey. Now I like to add a little bit of lemon juice in mine and watch what happens. Yeah, you can kind of see it's made it more of an orange. I'm gonna let this cool on the counter before I put it in the fridge. So I'm just gonna leave that lid on it loosely. Okay, I transferred it to my new cup with my little tomatoes. I didn't want to put hot liquid over ice in a cold glass, and it's glass because it would have broke it, but that's it. Now you have a lovely beverage. Again, that's kind of concentrated. So now that I've got my ice in there and it's melted quite a bit, it's delicious. Try it. Let me know what you think. Bye, guys.